Yes. Yes, sir. Good morning, dear all, my dear students and respected CNO. Myself Sushma Jaiswal from Khernagar Municipal Secondary English School, Bandra East. Today I'm going to continue the same lesson, field visit. Let's go through a quick glance over what we have studied yesterday. I will just move the slides. You go through this, all this. I will not explain again. I'm just moving the slides. See, we studied about the geographical concepts, latitude, longitude, longitude, then water bodies, relief features, then vegetation. We learned about different vegetation type, that is tropical evergreen forest, then tropical deciduous forest, dry tropical deciduous forest, temperate deciduous forest, tropical thorn forest. Then different types of settlement patterns. We have seen linear settlements, dispersed settlements, nucleated settlements, isolated settlements, etc., etc. Now topography. We learned about topography, what is topography and the difference between relief and topography. And we learned about Naldur Fort, a brief history of Naldur Fort, and I have also shown you the video of Naldur Fort, how it looks like. So whenever you go for a visit with your teacher, you will know about the entrance and everything about Naldur Fort, as you have already studied about it. So today I'm going to continue the same lesson, field visit. It's an interesting lesson as it seems to be very small lesson, but if you will go in detail about field visit, you will really enjoy the lesson, because there are so many things which you learn from that lesson. See, in the lesson we have seen a conversation between the teachers and the students. Teacher has asked a student to observe so many things while traveling from Naldur to Sinagarh. Okay, so students were writing their observations in a notebook. They are explaining the teachers different things which they are observing, and also teacher is explaining them about the things they are observing. So we had seen that what teacher had asked students to observe. Teacher had asked students to observe the relief features, topography, water bodies, vegetation, agricultural patterns, and why it happens so. Okay, if students are finding a difference between different agricultural fields, so teacher is explaining them the difference in the agricultural patterns and also the human settlements. So when they are moving from Naldur to Sinagar, they are passing through many cities. For example, Solapur is also a city. Then Hadapsar is also a city. Pune. Okay. Then they will find Mumbai Pune highway road. So they will see the difference in the rural areas and urban areas. Okay. Now let's see. That is the day one. Yesterday we had learned about day one. See, teacher is saying something to student. Dear students, now we have left Naldur and are on our way to Solapur. We will have our breakfast at Solapur and lunch near Sinagar. So while moving from Naldur to Sinagar, they will halt at Solapur first. They will do their breakfast. They will observe something near Solapur and then they will take their lunch near Sinagar at Pune. Now all of you should observe both the sides along the roads and note down the observations in notebooks with reference to these points. So teacher has asked them to note down these points: the relief features, water bodies, vegetation, soil, agriculture, human settlements, and the settlement patterns. Now Rahul is saying something to his teacher. He's saying, yes, madam, I can see that we are experiencing undulating topography, and somewhere in between we can find plains. We can also see some agricultural fields. So this I've already explained you what is plain and what is topography. Now see what is undulating topography. See, you can see a undulating topography here in the image. See the explanation. Undulating topography means what? Undulating topography means having a shape like a wave or moving up and down like a wave. Means there is slight up and down in the land patterns. Okay, I'll show you here in the figure. If you will see the figure, you will see that there is slight up and down. Okay, it is not like that. If it is like that, then it is a mountain. Okay, but it is not like that. It is a slight up and down. See here. Slide up and down. So, undulating topography means having a shape like a wave or moving up and down like a wave. So topography is a broad term used to describe the detailed study of the Earth's surface. As I've explained you earlier, I'll show you the photography once again. This includes changes in the surface such as mountains and valleys, as well as features such as rivers and roads. See here, I'll show you once again topography. See here, topography. This is what the topography. See this terrain, mountains, hills, lakes, valleys. These are all topographical features of a land surface. Okay. So it is a study of the shape and features of land surface in short. And now what is plain? I've shown you that video photo also. See, this is plain. Plain is an area that is just near the sea level. Here you can see. And plateau is what? Plateau is above sea level. See the difference here. It is above sea level. It is a flat surface area above sea level. So do not get confused. Plain is the area which is near to the sea, and plateau is the flat area which is above sea level. Okay. So hope you have understood what is topography, what is relief, and what is plateau, and what is plain. Now Sakshi is saying something to her teacher. Sakshi, we can see small settlements along the roads. We can also see tea stalls, dhabas, petrol pumps, and other shops. So when they are moving from Naldur to Solapur, they have seen all this. They have seen all these observations. They have done all these observations. They have seen shops, then petrol pumps, then stalls, dhabas, etc., etc. Yes, Meena. Your observations. Meena. Madam, are we going down the slope? Correct. Now we are in the southern part of the Balaghat ranges. They are the eastern offshoots of the Sahyadris. Keep looking at the map given to you and topography outside. You can easily see the changes occurring in the landscape. Now, tell me about the settlement patterns and housing types. Now see here, this is a map of Maharashtra. You can see areas are divided according to the region. Area which is marked as red, that is the Konkan region. Then navy blue is Pune region. This is Pune. Konkan. Then Nagpur. Green is marked as Nagpur region. Then Nashik region. Purple. This whole is Nasik region. Then Aurangabad region is marked as orange. This whole Aurangabad. Then Amravati region. This is Amravati region. Okay. And this is the Pune region. So from where we are moving from here. We are moving from Osmanabad. We are moving from Osmanabad to Solapur. Here, students will take a halt. They will have their breakfast, and from here they will move to Pune. From Pune, they will take left turn. See, this is a left turn. Bus is moving like this way. Okay. So this side is the left, and this side is the left, and this is the right side. Okay. So student will take a left from here, and here is the Sindhudurg fort. Okay. So when they will take a left, they will see a Pune-Mumbai highway here. Now see, they have seen Balaghat ranges. See here, this is the Balaghat range. And now what is the observation of the student? See here. Now we are in the southern part of the Balaghat ranges. They are the eastern offshoots of the Sahyadris. Okay. Southern part of the Balaghat ranges means, see, this is Balaghat range. This is Balaghat range, and this is the southern part. Okay. So they are moving from here only, na? Osmanabad. So this is what the southern part here. So they are in the southern part, and this is the western part. This is the western part, and this is what? This is the eastern offshoots. So when students are moving like this, so this becomes the western part and this becomes the eastern part. Hope you all have understood. Now what else teacher is saying? They are the eastern offshoots of the Sahyadris. Keep looking at the map given to you and the topography outside. You can also see the changes occurring in the landscape. Now tell me about the settlement patterns and housing types. See, this is the map of India. See, the upper one is the northern Western Ghats. This is a central one. The middle one is the central. This is Nilgiris, and this is the southern Western Ghats. Okay. So keep this in mind. This will help you in any kind of exams which will appear in future. See, this is Sahyadri Western Ghats. This one. This is the Sahyadri Western Ghats. And this is the Deccan Plateau. Osmana, they are moving like this. Now Suraj is saying something to his teacher. Suraj, Madam, in rural areas, we see houses in a straight line along the road. The walls of the houses are made of clay, while use of mud and wood is visible in making the roofs. Now, what observation Suraj has done? Suraj has seen rural areas and he is able to differentiate between urban areas and rural areas. So, what is the difference? I will explain you later. See, first, he has seen houses in a straight line. So, what kind of houses is that? I've explained you this. Houses are in a straight line along the canals or rivers. So this kind of settlements are called as linear settlements. As I explained you, what is linear settlements? I will show you once again. See, a linear settlement is a settlement or a group of buildings that is formed in a long line. Many of these settlements are formed along a transport route, such as a road, river, or canal. Others form due to physical restrictions, such as coastlines, mountains, hills, or valleys. So, hope you have understood once again. Now, teacher is explaining him. Good observation, Suraj and Renuka. Such settlements are called linear settlements. We have learned that in 7th standard. The houses which you saw are called mud and wood houses. Dhabyachi ghare. These are the traditional houses built by a specific method. The vegetation here belongs to the dry deciduous type. They shed their leaves during a specific season. Now, after this observation, after some time, they reached Solapur city. Here you can see Dhabyachi ghare. These houses are made up of wood and mud. This kind of houses you can see in rural areas, villages. In villages, people are not constructing their houses made up of cement or bricks. They are constructing their houses in this pattern with mud and wood. See this kind of houses you can see in villages. This kind. Now, what is deciduous forest? Deciduous trees lose their leaves at the end of their growing season. This occurs in the fall in temperate deciduous forest and in the dry season in tropical and subtropical deciduous forest. The word deciduous is from the Latin word deciduor, meaning to fall off. Okay, I've explained you about this also, what is deciduous forest and when they shed their leaves. See here in the previous lecture. See a tropical deciduous forest. They are the most widespread forest of India. They are also called the monsoon forest and is spread over the region, receiving rainfall between 200 centimeter and 70 centimeter. Trees of this forest type shed their leaves for about 6 to 8 weeks in dry summer. Okay, trees of this forest type shed their leaves for 6 to 8 weeks in dry summer. This is of the availability of water. These forests are further divided into moist and dry deciduous. So where there is less amount of rainfall, this type of forest you will see in that area. Now next is tropical thorn forest. This type of trees you will found in the area where you will see very less amount of rainfall, that is 70 centimeter of rainfall, and it is mainly in the areas of Haryana, Gujarat, Madhya Pradesh, Chhattisgarh, Uttar Pradesh, and Rajasthan. The trees of the thorny bushes have long roots that penetrate deep into the soil in search of water. Okay, you can see the areas which has tropical deciduous forest and thorn forest. See, the one which is in dark green color is the tropical deciduous. This one, these areas are tropical deciduous. Okay, areas of Rajasthan, Chhattisgarh, Uttar Pradesh, Madhya Pradesh, Gujarat. Okay, these are tropical deciduous, and the one which is in light yellowish color, that is thorn forest. So here it is Osmana. It covers Solapur and Naldur district. Students, if you want, you can take the screenshot of the map which I'm showing you for your better understanding. See, here also you can see it is better explained here. See, these regions have dry tropical deciduous forest, this one, which is marked red. Okay. These are tropical semi-evergreen, this one, light green, fluorescent green, this one. And the dark green, this one, is tropical moist deciduous, this one, dark green. And this one, this is tropical wet evergreen, means it receives a good amount of rainfall. Okay. See, this kind of plants or trees you can see in dry deciduous forest. Now, next, teacher is saying something. Now we have reached Solapur city. In urban areas, the population density is high. We see multi-storied houses. They are made of a mixture of cement, sand, rubble, and water. They are constructed using bricks. Shops with modern amenities like shopping malls, big restaurants, etc. found along the roads. As this kind of houses you can see in an area where there is a city. Okay, in a city area. Now, what is population density? Population density is a measurement of population per unit area or exceptional unit volume. It is a quantity of type number density. It is frequently applied to living organisms, most of the time to humans. It is a key geographical term. In simple terms, population density refers to the square kilometer, means like this. This is a square. This is 1 kilometer and this is 1 kilometer. So when I multiply this both, it becomes square. Okay, this. So per square meter means in this area, the number of people living. Okay, this is called per square kilometer. For example, you can see here in the map, I've shown you the population density of people as per 2001 census. See, in Solapur, you can see 43,16,527 number of people living in this area in Solapur. See, in Solapur. So the population density in Solapur is little high as compared to other areas nearby. See here, you can see Satara, then Sangli, then Osmanabad, Latur, Kolhapur, Sindhudurg. So as compared to all these areas, the number of people living in Solapur is high because it is a city. Okay, here people are having all the amenities and all the facilities which they can enjoy. See, this is a multi-storied type building. Multi-storied means where there is multiple floors and where you can see wings, A wing, B wing, C wing. These are called as multi-storied type of houses. And these are made of cement, sand, rubble, bricks, etc. etc. And also you can see here, see malls, small shops, the road. Okay, so this kind of houses you can basically see in the city area. Teacher. Now we are crossing Solapur city. Dear students, see the cultivation around. Now we are crossing Solapur city. Dear students, see the cultivation around. What do you see? Observe and tell. Children observed on both the sides of the road and started writing down their observations in their notebooks. This continued for a long time. Madam, I find that the pulse fields are greener here. When we had left Naldurg, we had seen shrub crops and there was some sugarcane, but now I can see that is mainly sugarcane being cultivated here. So when they are in Naldurg, okay, when they are in Naldurg, the amount of rainfall Naldurg receive is lesser than Pur city. Or you can say the availability of water is less in Naldurg. And because of that, student had seen shrub crops. Because shrub crops doesn't require a high amount of rain, water for growth. Now what is shrub crops? Shrub crops is a woody plant which is smaller than tree and has several main stems arising at or near the ground. See, you can see here. These are shrubs which I have shown you in the picture. See, this one is blackberry. This one is gooseberry. This is raspberry. This one is honeysuckle. This is red currant. This is black currant. So if you difference in the trees here, you will see here it is very short in length as compared to other trees. So it doesn't require that much of in the Naldurg area, they have seen this kind of shrub crops. And when they move to Solapur, they have seen many kind of sugarcane fields there because the amount of water availability is good there. Sugarcane field requires a high amount of water for their growth as compared to shrub crops. Teacher, correct. When we had left Naldurg, we had seen cultivation of moong, urad and other pulses, but now it is mainly sugarcane. This is because of the availability of irrigation facilities and also a good availability of water. So when there is good availability of irrigation facilities and water, it becomes very easier for the farmers to cultivate crops or to do irrigation. For example, if you see the areas receiving high rainfall, you can see there a good amount of rice paddy fields. Why? Because rice requires a good amount of rainfall. And if you will see wheat, it doesn't require that much amount of rainfall. If you will see pulses also, like urad, moong, arhar, all this kind of pulses doesn't require that amount of water for their growth. Now Savitri is saying something. Yes, madam. We had crossed a canal sometime. We had crossed a canal some time ago, and now I can see a large reservoir here. Which is this reservoir, madam? Now see here. This is moong. The yellowish color is moong dal. The black one is urad dal. And this one is white urad dal. Black urad dal and white urad dal. There are two types of urad dal available. The black one and the white one. Okay. So this they have seen. These crops they have seen in Naldur district. So in Naldur area near Osmana district. Because it doesn't require that much amount of water for their growth. Now Savitri. Savitri has done some observation. Now she is saying something. Yes, madam, we had crossed a canal some time ago and now I can see a large reservoir here. Which is this reservoir, madam? Near Indapur, the teachers asked the bus driver to stop at the side of the road. The students got down in a line and gathered around the teachers in a disciplined way. It is very important whenever you are going to a field trip or field visit with anyone, with your teacher or with any or if you are making any kind of organization trip, make sure that you are in a disciplined manner. You are not moving anywhere without your leader's permission or without the permission of your head. See, this is Ujjaini Dam. This is the reservoir which Savitri has observed. See, this is Ujjaini Dam. Let's see a small history about Ujjaini Dam. Ujjaini Dam is built on Bhima River. Krishna in Maharashtra. Ujjaini village, Ujjaini in Madh Taluka, that is in Solapur district. It has a reservoir capacity of 15-17 gigaliters. So it is one of the biggest reservoirs in the region supplying water for drinking and irrigation in the Solapur district. Just because of this reservoir, it is very easier for the farmers to cultivate sugarcane. Okay. So here you can see the difference. Just because of this Ujjaini Dam, it is very easier for the farmers to cultivate sugarcane. Where else in Naldur, you will not find such kind of water availability. Means there is less amount of water. And this reservoir helps in supplying water for drinking and also for irrigation facilities in the Solapur district as well as in Bijapur district in Karnataka. So Karnataka is just below Solapur. See here, you can see in the map. This is Naldur, this is Solapur, okay? And this is Ujjain near Indapur. So this water is supplied to Solapur. Okay, just because of this water, this city gets water for drinking and also for irrigation. It is the third largest reservoir in Maharashtra after Koyna. That is, Koyna contains 2800 gigaliter. It is built on river Krishna, and Jaikwadi, that is 2171 gigaliters, on Godavari. Jaikwadi is built on the river Godavari. Constructed in June 1980 on Bhima River. Okay, ये जो reservoir है, the Ujjain reservoir is built on Bhima River in the year 1980. ये थोड़ा important है. This is little important. If you will learn, if you will by heart this, it will be good for you. Ujjain Dam reservoir is built on Bhima River. Bhima is a tributary of Krishna. In Maharashtra, it is the third biggest reservoir in Maharashtra. And after that, Koyna and Jaikwadi. Koyna is built on river Krishna and Jaikwadi is built on river Godavari. So remember this. Ujjain Dam reservoir is built in June 1918 on Bhima River. It supply water for drinking and irrigation in Solapur and Bijapur district. So Solapur district in Maharashtra and Bijapur district in Karnataka. Remember this and do not forget. See, this is Ujjain Dam. This in the map, Ujjain Dam. This is Indapur Taluka. And here is Solapur and this here is Naldurg. Hold for a moment, students. Teacher. Now teacher is saying something to the students. Now teacher has asked students to refer to the map. See, I have shown you the map here. This map is given in your textbook, this one. And this I have shown you. Extra map. So teacher has asked the student to see this map. This map.
What's the use?
Students, mute your mic. So this is the map in your textbook. So teacher has asked students to see the map. Teacher, refer to your maps as shown there. What you can see to our right are the backwaters of the Ujjaini. See, they are moving in this map. Here they are taken bus. They are moving like this way. Okay. So this is the right side. This side. Okay. So to the right, what they have seen, they have seen that, and to the right. So here they have seen backwaters of Ujjain Dam. Now what is backwater? This dam is mainly used for supplying drinking water. It is also used for power generation, fishing, irrigation, etc. Some students surroundings, they boarded the bus and their journey started again. Now here you can see backwater. A backwater is a part of a river in which there is little or no current. अभी बच्चों को आई थिंक सो इंग्लिश में नहीं समझ में आएगा कि करंट का मतलब क्या होता है. व्हाट इज द मीनिंग ऑफ करंट? करंट मीन्स वेरी लेस वेव्स जनरेटिंग इन द रिवर. करंट का मतलब होता है जो फ्लो होता है ना रिवर का, द फ्लो ऑफ रिवर. इफ द फ्लो ऑफ द रिवर इज हाई और इफ द फ्लो ऑफ ओशन और सी इज हाई, that means it has good amount of current. Current का मतलब वो इलेक्ट्रिसिटी वाला करंट नहीं है. स्टूडेंट्स डू नॉट गेट कंफ्यूज्ड. करंट मीन्स जो वेव होती है, जो फ्लो होता है, वो क्या होता है, एकदम कम होता है, उसको क्या बोलते हैं, करंट. सी हियर इन द पिक्चर यू कैन सी river is moving like this way. Okay, so the flow is very high. High flow is called as current. In short, the flow of water is called as current. So the flow is very high. But if you will see this part, this part you can see a little or no current. ठीक है, you can see little or no current, मतलब यहाँ पे बिल्कुल भी फ्लो नहीं है, यहाँ पे पानी आके क्या हुआ, इकट्ठा हुआ है. So this is called what? This is backwater. Understood? So this backwater is used for what? This backwater is used for drinking, fishing, irrigation and power generation. This backwater of Ujjaini Dam. Learn this term also. A backwater is a part of a river or dam or reservoir in which there is little or no current. Hope you have understood the meaning of current. Do not get confused in future. See, this is Ujjaini Dam built on river Bhima, and this is a backwater. If you will see here, there is less or no current, and if you will see here, the flow of water is high. See here, flow. See here, this is flow. See this. Okay. And if you will see here, there is no such kind of flow. So here is very less or no current. This is the backwater of Ujjain Dam. Now, Pooja. Madam, this seems to be a plain area. I've explained you what is plain area. Teacher, yes, we are going through a plain region. This is a part of the Deccan Plateau itself. As we go westwards, we will notice major changes in the relief and vegetation. After few hours of journey, they left the main road near Hadapsar and turned towards Sinhagad. There were many big and small hotels at the foothills. They stopped at an open space at the roadside and had their lunch. They relaxed for a while. See, I've already explained you the definition of plateau. A plateau is a flat, elevated landform that rises sharply above the sea level in a surrounding area or at least one side. Plateaus occur on every continent and take up a third of the Earth's land. There are two kinds of plateaus, dissected plateaus and volcanic plateaus. I want to explain you this, what is dissected and volcanic plateaus. This I will explain you in later chapters. So this is Deccan Plateau. This is the Deccan Plateau. So, and this is the Sahyadri Western Ghats. And this is the Deccan Plateau. Okay. Here also you can see. See, this is the Eastern Ghats. This is Coromandel Coast. This is Sahyadri Western Ghats. And they are moving from here. So obviously they will halt here and then they will move to Sindhudurg. See here in the map. See here. So while moving from here, from Naldurg, while moving from Naldurg to Solapur, the students halt down here and then they saw this Ujjain Dam. They moved to Hadapsar. Okay, from Hadapsar, they will take a left turn to Sinhagad. Okay, and here is Sindhudur. They will take a halt here at Sinhagad. Okay, they will move to Sinhagad via Mumbai-Pune highway. Now Nazma is saying something. Nazma. I also noticed that when we left Naldur, trees like Jujube, Babul, etc. were visible and anyone should be there, but here different trees are seen. Teacher, good. While crossing Naldur, we saw semi-arid thorny type of vegetation. As I told you that where semi-arid thorny type of vegetation occurs, where there is less amount of rainfall. So this kind of changes in type of vegetation is an indicator of change in the amount of rainfall in that area. We see that anjan, that is ironwood, banyan and people trees are more in number here. All right, now we have reached the foothills of Sinhagad. Now we will climb to the top and you will see the offshoots of Western Ghats. You will only carry your iCard. So students need to carry iCard, notebook, pen, binoculars, camera, cap, map and water bottle. Keep your luggage and other items in the bus itself. Okay, so this is bubble tree and this is jujube. Bor हम हिंदी में बोलते हैं, jujube in English, and this is bubble tree. Doesn't require a good amount of rainfall. It grows in semi-arid or thorny area. So here, students, I am finishing my lecture. Hope you all have understood the lesson. The remaining I will continue in the next lecture. Thank you, dear students, for cooperating with me. Students, you can unmute yourself.
Unmute yourself, beta.
Bye.
Good morning, dear students. Today we are just getting revised, or we are doing what we are going to learn in this fourth chapter, that is environmental management or environment management of science 2. Okay. What is environment management? Okay. First, we will see the laws governing environment. Why there is a need for the laws? Okay. Environment Protection Act. These are the various laws. It may be asked for the fill in the blanks or match the columns. Then air prevention and control of pollution rules, that is in 1982. Water Act, that is prevention and control of pollution rule, 1978. Then hazardous waste, that is management and handling rule, 1989. And environment impact assessment. Okay. Then ISO, that is in this role of government, NGOs, international and conversion in the environmental protection and conservation. For this, the government has governing the laws. Now we have, from last 1.5 years, we are going through this pandemic, coronavirus pandemic. What is the impact on the environment? Okay, that in the lockdown period, the carbon emission was very less. Okay, the air was very clean. Okay, oxygen level was increased and carbon emission was decreased because of the very less vehicular use. Then waste management is there, wildlife and habitat, okay, and energy. Okay, so all this coronavirus pandemic, the impact was somewhere it was good, somewhere it was bad. Now, in brief, what is environment management and why it is necessary? Environmental management is necessary for environmental planning, which implies the optimal utilization of Earth's resources. Okay, we are getting natural resources, air, water, and the metals. Okay, these are the natural resources, and preservation of the quality of environment for the healthy growth of the society. So this is the brief, that is why it is necessary for the environmental management. Okay, only we human beings are not living in the environment. Okay, there are many other animals are there, habitat is there. So it is all throughout the world, particularly in developing countries. There is an urgent need for the management of total environment. In the first instance of environmental management, we must do the three things. What we have to do: identify the goals, establish whether these can be met, develop and implement means to do what it deems possible. A simple scheme for environmental management has to be designed and implemented. If we are starting anywhere, we have to do the planning. Okay, what are the things are necessary? So we have to do the planning, then we have to design and implement. So it should not be on just papers and act. We should personally follow, and we have to keep awareing other peoples also. What is environmental management? Okay, environmental management is the process by which environmental health is regulated, managing the environment itself, but it is the process of taking steps and behaviors to have a positive effect on the environment. To reduce the risk of these environmental impacts occurrence, we clearly set objectives and targets. So we have to set the targets. Which are the targets? If the we are facing now air pollution, okay, water pollution, noise pollution. So what is our responsibility? Pollution of air, water, noise, air, water, noise, soil, thermal, light pollution. These are the different types of pollution that cause adverse effect. It ultimately affects existence of all the living organism on the earth, not only the human beings, all the living organisms. Thus, it is our responsibility to curtail polluting substances and aim at environmental conservation. Now, what is the reason for pollution? Pollution के लिए reason क्या है? Population explosion. Okay, population ज़्यादा है, so there will be demand of more resources, fast industrialization, and indiscriminate use of natural resources. Okay, for that, as the population is increasing, deforestation. Okay, वहाँ पे plants कट करके deforestation होने के बाद फिर there is a concrete jungle is created. Okay, बड़े बड़े buildings and all. So जो plants है वो कम होते जा रहे हैं and carbon carbon dioxide is increasing because plants absorb carbon dioxide and emit, they give out oxygen. And unplanned urbanization are factors that pollute the environment. Environmental management concept, the importance of prevention of environment and respect for nature from underlying principles of various developing countries. While environmental conservation may have been a part of cultural and religious heritage of many developing societies, consideration has generally been of most of the recent origin, certainly not more than 2 decades. If the number of consumers increase gradually, it will create the scarcity of prey organism. Then due to lack of prey, the number of consumer will also decline. This we have studied in standard 9, okay, prey and predator. Important sources and classification. Okay. You must be aware of this. Domestic waste, that is plastic, paper, plastic and leather. Industrial waste, paper and pulp industries, oil refineries, chemical industries, metal smelters. So these are the sources कि ये कहाँ से आता है, प्लास्टिक पेपर से डोमेस्टिक वेस्ट में घर से. Then industrial waste, commercial waste, that is paper, fibers, plastic, packaging material, mining waste, then radioactive waste, that is nuclear explosion, nuclear testing, use of radioactive substances in medical and scientific research. Agriculture waste, that is farms, livestock, yards, bagasse from sugarcane. Hospital waste, that is biomedical waste, needles, syringe, blade, bandage, tissues, and electronic waste. Electronic waste is referred as e-waste. So these are the important sources that we have classified according to their waste. Waste management refers collectively to the collection, transportation, handling, and disposal process of dealing with the removal of human waste. Waste management generally covers all aspects of human waste, including waste reduction. अगर वेस्ट मैनेजमेंट प्रॉपरली नहीं किया तो what you must have seen in BMC or PMC, Pune Municipal Corporation, Mumbai Municipal Corporation, they have put the different dustbin, okay, dry waste, then wet waste, then another is organic waste. So organic waste से हम लोग मैन्योर बना सकते हैं, okay, that is a good fertilizer. Then dry waste फिर वो यूज होता है, that in dry waste many of the things can be recycled, okay, reused. So in this way they have planned the waste management, okay. So characteristics of environmental management. It is often used as generic term. It supports sustainable development. It shows opportunities and also addresses threats and problems. If it calls for a multidisciplinary approach. This is the cycle, that is environmental policy, planning has to be done, implementation, okay, it should not be on papers, you have to implement the rules and regulations made by the government, then checking and correction and management review. So this is the cycle, it should be followed properly. Now what are the components of environment? Okay, natural, human made. Okay. Natural, you will see the water, air, living things. But human, individual, then family, community, religion, okay, environmental, then economic and political situation. Now, human made, what is the human made? Buildings, parks, bridges, industries, and monuments. So these are the components of environment. See here what the human beings are doing. They are industrialization is increasing day by day, and the concrete jungle, they are cutting the trees, that is deforestation. But what our future, what we want, what our children want, okay, what you want, there should be greenery, rainbow, okay, proper plant, urbanization. So this is our dream, that is the full of greenery, full of good clean air, not the polluted air that we are inhaling and getting sick. The environment that is around a living organism is called, sorry, everything that is around a living organism is called the environment. So what is around us? Okay, just we don't want to keep our house clean. We have to keep our surrounding area, our whole earth environment clean. So it's our responsibility, as we that is our second home. Environment includes physical, chemical, and other natural factors which surround the living organism. Environment is collective term for physical, chemical, and biological factors that surround the living organisms. You must be knowing many biotic, okay, biotic that are living things and abiotic non-living things. Natural and artificial factors together constitute conditions of the environment. So this is save, we have to save the trees. We don't want to cut the trees, okay? Excuse me. Now we have to save the electricity, okay? Later we have to make use of solar energy, then wind energy, natural resources. We have to save the water, most important thing. If there is no water, there will be no life in future. Okay? So we have to save water. Then we have to save the fuel. Okay? We have to make जितना हम लोग पब्लिक ट्रांसपोर्ट का यूज़ कर सकते हैं, we have to use public transport. Don't use your own vehicle for small reason. You can go by walking, you can use make use of bicycles, okay? So there will be uh, we have to save the fuel and we have to save our environment, okay? Natural environment, that is air, atmosphere, water, land, living organisms. So there is a continuous interaction between all the factors, that is of biotic factors, that is living things, and abiotic factors, that are non-living things. Both are important. We biotic things are mostly dependent on abiotic factors. Why are the environmental ethics important? Okay, you must be aware of this word, good manners, good ethics. Okay, we are educated, so we know how to behave with the elder person, with our teachers. So that are called the ethics, manners, etiquettes. So in this environmental, what are the why are the environmental ethics important? Humans are slowly depleting all of our natural resources that other generations need for their future. We are not thinking of future. We are getting, we are happy. We should think of future also. So they should also enjoy this life with all the natural resources our world has created for us to live and thrive on, and we are slowly killing it. Okay, we are slowly killing our world by doing the deforestation. We are polluting the air, we are polluting the soil, we are polluting the water. Sustainably, for the environment is crucial so that we do not destruct the world that God created. We don't have the right to destruct the world because we are not created. The God has created, and we don't have the right to destruct it. Okay, if we want, we can. We have to keep it clean for ourselves, for our future generations. This we have seen. Sustainable forestry. Okay, the practice of regulating forest resources to meet the needs of society and industry while preserving the forest health. Okay, we have to preserve the forest health. If we'll keep cutting the forest and we keep doing the deforestation, where the animals will live, as we are living in buildings, the animals cannot live in building. Their habitat is in forest. Okay, so we don't have the right to destruct all this natural flora and fauna. So this is the sustainable forestry. So this is, see, what is right and what is wrong. Interrelation. Okay, we don't have to be selfish. That we are human beings, so we can kill all the animals, all the flora and fauna, and live alone in this environment. We cannot do this. We don't have the right to do this. So all this we have to interaction among us human beings. So this is the right way. We don't have to be think in the wrong way. Ecology, this is related to ecology. Ecology is the science that deals with the study of interaction between biotic, okay, biotic and abiotic factors of the environment. Many ecosystems together form an environment. Ecosystem constitute biotic, abiotic factors occupying a definite geographical area and their interactions. How environmental degradation occurs? Okay, environmental changes are based on many factors including urbanization, the population explosion, intensification of agriculture, increase in energy use, increase in transportation. So this is the main causes of the environmental degradation. See the noise pollution. Everyone is in the hurry. Okay, they are honking, and everyone wants to use their own vehicle, and it is creating noise pollution as well as air pollution. Now you must have heard about the Chernobyl disaster on April 26, 1986. One reactor of Chernobyl power plant of Ukraine exploded. Massive radiation sent into the atmosphere. Now also in this area, no one can live. Radiations itne ज़्यादा है than skin reactions and many other diseases they have to face. Now see, we have to take part. That is, you have to segregate the what will say garbage. Okay, waste management. Then it is reuse. Okay, then again this cycle goes on in the factory. Plastics adverse effects on our environment. Okay, plastic pollute beaches and oceans. You can see garbage has been discarded into the ocean for as long as humans have sailed the seven seas or lived on sea shores or near waterways flowing into the sea. Since the 1940s, Plastic use has increased dramatically, resulting in a huge quantity of floating in the ocean and eventually deposited on the beaches worldwide. When the garbage is collected and then it is segregated, and most of the unused things, they are dumped into the beaches and oceans. So जो aquatic life है वो ocean में, that is also polluted and killed. As you can see, the plastic pollution. Okay, see. So you have to stop using the plastics. It is not degradable. It is killing the aquatic life, the soil, and the aquatic flora, fauna. It is making mess our environment. Now it is the need for public awareness. Sustainable use of natural resources, join an environmental group, prevention is better than cure, then mass media, that is newspaper, radio, TV. You know, you must have seen don't use plastics. The government is making awareness among the people. Activities concerned with the students, be a volunteer. What you have to do as a student, be a volunteer in environmental organization that fight for saving the earth, reading newspapers or articles which emphasize on environmental issues, practice and promote the 3R principle. What is the 3R principle? Reduce, reuse and recycle. This is the 3R principle. Then practice and promote good civic sense. Okay, no smoking and no spitting in the public places. This is to be strictly followed by each and every citizen of India. No spitting in the public places. Spend time in a natural habitat. Take part in events, work. World Environmental Day. Okay, World Environment Day is celebrated on 5th of June every year. So these are the things you will be asked that as a responsible citizen, what you should do. So is the answer you we are expecting from your students, and you have to take participation in this need for public awareness regarding the environment. This is the hospitals, in-house segregation, common storage point, transportation, unloading, and temperature storage. This is this how they are segregating and following the waste management. This is the main segregation of the solid biomedical waste. This is from the hospitals waste. Okay, for black uh, garbage, red color dustbin, they are plastic container. Plastic container, that is yellow plastic container. This is all regarding the biomedical waste. Syria. Color coded waste. Okay. E-waste. Electronic waste is for, that is dustbin is red color. Then paper, that is can be recycled, that is a blue color. Glass, this is also can be recycled, green color. Metal, plastic and organic. So these are the color code. Okay. In this way, the waste management segregation is done of the garbage. Now, need for EMS, that is Environment Management System. Okay. See the industrial area, industry, this is creating a lot of air pollution, creating the humans, killing the humans. Then the garbage is thrown into the oceans. Everything we do always come back to us. Okay. Okay, when the floods are coming, whatever garbage you have thrown, plastics, carry bags, so जो flood में है वो क्या होता है, वही कचरा हमारे घर में आता है. It is not degraded. So everything we do comes back to us. So we have to do good. So good will come back to us. It will keep on doing mess in the environment. We are throwing garbage here and there, carry bags, plastic bottles. So it will come back to us only. It's not going to go anywhere. Plastic waste infographics. Garbage, organic recycling. So don't throw the plastic into the ocean. The aquatic life is getting killed. Now water ecosystem in this you are studying from 7th or 8th standard. The self-sustaining structural and functioning interaction between the living and non-living components. So there is an interaction between the living and non-living things. Now what are the characteristics of environmental management? Okay. Environmental management supports sustainable development. Environmental management demands the multidisciplinary approach. It deals with a world affected by humans. Environmental management has to integrate different development viewpoints. Environmental management seeks to integrate natural and social science. Environmental management can extend from short term to long term, from local to global level. So these are the characteristics of environmental management. It deals with the world affected by humans. It supports sustainable development. It demands a multidisciplinary approach. It has to integrate different developmental points of view. What is the definition of environment management? Environmental management system refers to the management of an organization's environmental program in a comprehensive, systematic, planned, and documented manner. It includes the organizational structure, planning, and resources for the developing, implementing, and maintaining policy for environmental protection. So this is the definition. If you are starting with your answer, you start with the definition. It will create a good uh, good you can good impact on the examiner. Now environmental engineering. Okay. What is that? First, pollution regulation, environment project management, wastewater processing, treatment, recycling and disposal, technologies for reuse of greenhouse gases, solid hazardous waste management, water sources prevention. So all this comes in the environmental engineering. This is all the cycle of the how it is recycled, reuse, reduce, reuse and recycle. Okay, these are the terms we will study in details when we'll start with our chapter. It will be detailed. I will explain you in details. This is the environmental policy, environmental planning, implementation and operation, checking and corrective action, environmental review. The cycle goes on. The commitment of government on abatement of pollution for preventing deterioration of environment is called the environmental policy. What is the definition? That the commitment of the government on abatement of pollution for preventing deterioration of the environment is called environmental policy. The policy element seeks to shift emphasis from defining objectives for each problem area towards actual implementation, including long-term vision document to forecast the sustainable utilization of natural resources. So mainly we will deal with the what are the environmental problems, that is air, water, soil and biodiversity. This is the definition. Environmental management plan consists the set of mitigation, monitoring and institutional measures to be taken during implementation and operation to eliminate adverse environmental impacts, offset them or reduce them to acceptable levels. Okay, many you have seen in the crowded place traffic jams. There is a now indicator the decibel. Okay, जो नॉइज हम लोग इसमें मेजर करते हैं वो है डेसिबल. सो उस ऊपर के डेसिबल के ऊपर अगर जाएंगे तो इट विल क्रिएटिंग हार्म, it is harmful for human beings. Environmental management plan is an essential element of EIA report. EMP should have the following components, that is identify the set of responses to potentially adverse impact, determine requirements for ensuring that those responses are made effectively and in timely manner, and describe the means for meeting those requirements. Plan, do, check, act cycle, that is management review, environmental policy, planning, implementation, checking, that is corrective actions. These are the strategic management. It's a set of managerial decision and action that determines the long run performance of an corporation. It includes environmental scanning, both external and internal, strategy formulation, strategy implementation, and evaluation and control. The study of strategic management therefore emphasizes the monitoring and evaluation of external opportunities and threats in light of a corporation's strength and weaknesses. Environment, that is EMS. Okay, mainly it is safety, environment and health. Environmental management and sustainable development. What it is includes causes and effects of environmental degradation. Degradation means its environment quality is degrading. Deforestation, desertification, pollutions, acid rain, global warming. What is environment management? EM, short form of environment management, is the optimum utilization of finite resources. Management means protecting the available resources from degradation. It is the process of taking steps to have a positive effect on the environment. It involves the wise use of activity and resources to have an impact on world and the environment. Definition of environmental management. Environmental management is a decision making process which regulates the impact of human activities on the environment in such a manner that the capacity of the environment to sustain human development will not be impaired. So this is summarizing, monitoring, reporting, developing, and executing the environmental policies. The aim of encouraging an environmental management system is to ensure the healthy state of our planet for future generations. This is the policy commitment, planning, implementation, and operation, checking and corrective action, management review. Garbage, we have to see that it can be recycled. We have to reuse and eco stations. This we have to for the good healthy environment we have to follow this. So these are the symbols you will be studied, and it may be asked, symbols are given, we have to write down for what it is used. Okay, so first you can see it is recycled. Okay, keep the environment clean, go green, use less electricity, wind energy. These are the different types of symbols. So yeah, human beings, we are killing our earth by polluting water, air, and the whole earth. Okay, due to our, what do you say, negligence, not behaving as an responsible citizen. We have to follow each and every regulations made by the government, and we have to keep awareing other people also. Our earth will be always green. You get a clear water, clean air to breathe. Okay, we will recycle, reuse, and reduce. These are the 3 R's that we should keep in mind always: recycle, reuse, and reduce. Our earth should be always green for us as human beings and as for the other animals also. Okay, we have to think in this way, that is jivo jivasya jivanam. It is the Sanskrit saying which means that one living organism makes the living on other. All food chains occurring in the nature function on other principle. Okay, world environment. We have, yes, 1 second, I'm completing.
Your voice very
Voice is breaking. World by doing good to our environment, and good will come back to us. We have to do the we should stop polluting the air, water, and soil. We should take part, we should take initiative in do the awareness among the people, become a good responsible citizen to save our environment. Thank you so much. If you have any doubts, please ask. Hello, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
Unmute yourself, beta. Farhan Khan. Ask your doubt.
Hello. Hello.
Any have doubts? Please
Anyone?
ask a teacher. Raise your hand and unmute your. Someshri.
I have a question, ma'am.
Yes. We are, as a human being, we are thinking selfishly. Okay, we are not thinking of other habitat, other animals. So we
Okay.
have to take biotic living things and abiotic. We are the other animals. They are dependent on abiotic things. Abiotic things means forest, water, okay, mountains.
Okay.
We are cutting all the things where they will go and live. So
I
as a
understand.
human beings, yes, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Okay, welcome. Anyone? Anyone have any query, any doubts? Hello, madam. Hello.
Yes, ma'am. No one had doubts.
No.